there are so many reviews of watercolors on YouTube. And there's so many comparisons as well. And there's so many cheap art supply challenges. But I wanted to just take a step back and think about this from a different angle. Can cheap watercolors compare to more expensive watercolors in a variety of testing? You might be thinking, okay, you're just gonna do a side-by-side comparison with, a more expensive brand versus a cheaper brand, and, tell us how you feel about it, that it's too chalky or whatever. And you're right, but you're also wrong. I feel like a lot of the time when people do cheap art supply challenges, or they compare watercolors or gouache or any kind of painting medium, they don't push it to its limits. And what I mean by that is they do like a swatching phase, they do like a here's me painting with it phase, and then a price comparison, and that's it. The issue I have with that is this. People paint all sorts of different things. So I took it upon myself to peruse the internet's greatest suppository of art, and that's Pinterest. Hi, editing Jesse here. I kept saying in my head, don't do what Tony Abbott did. Don't say suppository, say depository. Don't say suppository, don't say suppository. And what did I do? I said suppository. I meant depository. Continue. And I'm not joking, because if you don't know how I feel about Instagram, let's just leave it at that. And I looked up watercolor, and that's it. And the 4 main categories of watercolor illustrations, paintings, whatever you want to call it, that I saw were abstract, landscape sketches, butterflies, and leaves. So, I'm going to paint an identical butterfly, an identical leaf, an identical landscape, and an identical abstract piece. I've got a cheap DAISO set and then a KURETAKE set, so it's like 2 Japanese brands head to head. I am going to tell you already, I really like the DAISO set. I've used it for a few things. There are things that it suits, and then there are things that it doesn't suit, and I feel like that is something that people constantly skip in these videos. They'll say something like, oh, it's good if you're on a budget, and that's it. You don't have to spend lots of money to have good art supplies. You really don't. You can make art with any kind of tools. Yeah, don't buy like the cheapest option, and these DAISO paints are pretty cheap. It was $2.80 in Australia. But that doesn't mean that you have to buy really expensive like Winsor & Newton watercolors. I bought them for my birthday as a gift to myself years ago, and I have not bought them since. They are not worth it. They aren't worth it. I'm sorry. I've got Holbein that I got for a birthday present from someone, and they're not worth it either. I now use KURETAKE because they're my favorite. I used to use the Sakura little travel set, but these are much nicer. And it's still not that expensive. But let's take a look at what DAISO can do. I really love this set. As you can see, I've used it already quite a bit. I love that I can use the lid as like a little mixing palette. It's really good. The pigmentation is pretty decent. Again, one of the things that I find really weird with a lot of reviews is nobody really tests the paints or whatever they're using in a variety of ways. So I wanted to make sure that first you would see the DAISO set, that you see the cheaper set, because seeing them side by side or seeing the most expensive set first, it's hard to look at the cheaper one and see just how good it is. So first, I want to show you just how good the cheap set is. Again, this is $2.80 in Australia. It's so decent. Look at those colors. I really love how they overlap. It dries fine. It's so nice. I chose a photo from a copyright-free website. I'll link it down below. It's a really nice photo of a lighthouse on a shoreline, and I just, trimmed it down to my needs, cropped it, and just went to town. I tried to do a little bit of a gradient. I actually don't let the paints dry that
long simply because I'm impatient, and when I'm normally painting, I don't let my watercolors paint. I don't like dry. I let them paint, but I don't like wait in between layers usually, unless I'm working on like a specific project. But most of the time I don't wait, and so I just wanted to go in with the paint as it is and just take it seriously how I would normally paint, not think of like putting it down, just go into town. I really love how quick these dry. I love the gradient of the sky. That red is nice and bright. It's so nice. Again, if you don't see it side by side with the more expensive paint, I can't talk. I'm like that kid that was like, do you ever dream that you could be you? I love it. I love this paint palette. Oh, the more I watch this footage back, the more I'm like, this is a really good palette. It's a really good palette. I like that it's a mix of greens. I didn't have to mix anything except like the wall, like a slightly off gray. But like it has 3 greens, a yellow, a couple of oranges. I do wish that instead of 2 oranges, there were 2 different yellows. But again, it's such a cheap set. Look at that water. Look at that blue water. Oh, what a good set. You know what's really funny? I actually enjoyed painting this one the most. I normally don't do landscapes, but hey, maybe I should get back into urban sketching because apparently I really love it. If you know anything about me, it is that I have a sketchbook dedicated specifically to painting lepidoptera, so butterflies and moths. And I was so glad to see that one of the top things that people painted on Pinterest with watercolors was butterflies. And I picked a monarch butterfly. This is not a proper scientific illustration. I just wanted to keep it really, really basic and simple. So you'll see that a lot of the scales and like arches on the wings are pretty inaccurate. If you are into scientific illustration. If not, you're probably just going to think, that's a cute butterfly. And yeah, man, I'm not great at narration today. I don't know what is going on, but I really loved this process. I was jamming out to some good tunes. I'll actually link my favorite playlist that I've got going on at the moment in the description. And I was just having a good time. It's been a while since I've painted, and I've been using like cheap brushes like since I've had watercolors. I've never bought like super expensive brushes, and they do fine. The black in this set is super nice. That orange was really well pigmented, not pigmented. What am I saying? I don't know. I'm having a weird day today. Yeah. It's such a cute little butterfly. I don't know what else to say. Again, if you don't see this next to the expensive paint, you think, wow, that's a really nice paint. What a good job you did, Jessie. Congratulations. Such a good painter. And honestly, I would agree with you. Again, buy cheap art supplies. That is the moral of this video. And, showing them in different applications, in more realistic styles, in more abstract styles, in different subjects. It's good stuff. I've always wanted to paint a monstera leaf after I painted one in oils, I think, for my brother. I haven't painted one in watercolor, so I just did like a really simple one. I know monsteras don't usually have like a yellow undertone, but I just wanted to just take it away in my own style, and I love the greens that come in this palette, like I said. So if you love doing nature stuff, this is such a good palette. And again, you can mix colors. I was just trying to not mix to show you the range of the palette. I really love this green. Oh, that like bright orangish, yellowish green. Orangish? It's not orangish at all. Like a yellowy green. I call it spring green. And that almost aqua green. Look how well this layers. So many people talk about how cheap paint doesn't layer well. And this layers so nice. Look at that blending. Oofed. Big oofed. I love it. Good leaf. good green, good vibes. I want that on a shirt. If I ever make merch, I'm putting that on a shirt. Tell me in the comments if you'd buy it. Now we're getting into the expensive stuff. And obviously you can see straight away that there's so many more colours and that the colours themselves are way more pigmented. The thing that I actually don't like about the Kuretake is that it bleeds really easily. And like, I would try to clean it up and I wasn't even placing down that much water, but it would just move around, and depending on the project, which is why I wanted to show different things being painted. Depending on the project, the bleeding can be good or bad. I wasn't even like being super messy, but you can see like the waterline on the edge and the pigmentation is just fine. So it's weird to see that, like, you know, you're gonna expect the Kuretake to do better in every aspect just because it's more expensive. But sometimes there's a bit of an Emperor's New Clothes kind of dealio where you're like, this must be better because it's more expensive. Insert that meme of Freckles saying sometimes things that are more expensive are worse. That's just the truth. Like, I don't like how this one turned out at all. And this is a $70 set. I did not enjoy painting this one. This is going to be like such a weird like turn of events that, like, instead of the cheap paint being chalky and bad and blah blah blah, which it is slightly chalky, I'm not denying that, I actually preferred painting the landscape using the DAISO paints. Again, too watery for this. I feel like this would work so much better with drier paint. I don't know how to tempera, I'm guessing, but I don't know. I'm a watercolor expert, I would say. I would go so far as to say I'm a watercolor expert. I've been painting with watercolors since 2010 religiously. I was using them before that, but I really got into them in 2010. So 10 years, holy shit. That's a lot of experience. And as much as I love this set, sometimes it just lets me down simply because I was using the DAISO set first. Does that make sense? I've been using the DAISO set recently, which is why I wanted to make this video, to show you how damn good it is. And I haven't used my Kuretake set in a while, so I think that's why I'm struggling a little bit with it. But I'm happy to give the DAISO set a little bit of an advantage just to show you how good it is once you actually know how to get your hands on it. Because that's the other thing. People will show you a set that they've never played around with. They'll show you using it for the first time ever on camera. And that's not a fair assessment. It's like none of these people ever learnt about, you know, the scientific theory, like how to make an experiment with control and like variables. I hated that green. I hated how it looked on the water. The red was a bit too much. It's still pretty decent, but I much prefer both the painting process and the result of the cheaper set. See those trees? I think the trees turned out better in this one though, I'm not gonna lie. And the lighter green of the grass, yeah, that's nice. Alright, so that orange is so beautiful. It's just got this nice tinge to it. It melts into this warm tone, and you'll see when I add in the red a little bit later how that just blends in nicely. If you're going to do very detailed color blocking, scientific illustrations, or just like incredibly detailed, intricate work with watercolors, this is what you want Kuretake and other high pigmented, high quality, expensive brand paints for. I really love painting butterflies, man. When I do my butterfly book, which is on my website, I've got a few up on my website. They are all painted with the Sakura Koi watercolor set that I showed you right at the beginning, the little travel kit. But the ones I've been doing recently in the book are with this set of paints. And oh my goodness, the colours are popping. I've been able to add a little bit of that glitter that you see in the bottom left corner, like the gold and the bronzy silvery colours, because there are some butterflies and moths that are pretty glittery. They've got a bit of a sheen to them. And oh my goodness, this set is just so perfect for butterflies. I did mess up with the wings and add like the segment, as you see there, I put in the black line where the wing is not, and so I go back and like try and rectify this one and the other one to try and give them an even chance, and you'll see right at the end the side by side. But yeah, I am really glad that I showed you the full DAISO experiment and then the full KURETAKE experiment, because if you saw this one first and then you saw the DAISO one, you would have been disappointed. But you were kind of impressed by the DAISO one, right? The colours were super nice. I do love this one the most, but again, don't let money stop you. I'm not gonna lie, I've said that like 4 times already, but I really do want to be honest with you, because I see so many, I've said before and I'll say it again, I don't watch much art YouTube simply because most people are obnoxious or annoying or just lying or not actually creating decent content. There are a few people that I mentioned already that I really love and I find them really relaxing and their opinions are honest, etc., etc. A lot of people will get sponsored and talk about certain products in a way that might not be 100% honest, and it's very easy to tell. And I just love this leaf. I love this paint. I've seen people review this paint and I didn't believe how good it was because of how much they hyped it up. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not as hyped up as a lot of YouTubers make it out to be. It's decent, but it's not like a miracle. It's a very nice paint, and I actually really like how this leaf turned out the most, even though it was still very watery. Kind of weird, but the colours that come with the set, the greens, they just go so well. Look at all those greens. So here they are, all of them side by side. There's really not that much of a difference if you just take a quick look at them. I prefer the abstract in DAISO. The pigmentation is just a slight difference. I've not, altered this footage much just to get the brightness a little higher. Here's a full list of pros and cons for both sets.
So, I hope that was interesting and enlightening. If you have any questions that I have not answered, please leave them in the comments. I will always reply because I am a tiny YouTuber, not artistic author anymore. Thank God, that was a weird period of my life. I might do a reacting to my old videos video at some point. Ooh. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about how there's a lot of setups for just, will the cheap art supply be better than the more expensive one? With very clickbaity thumbnails and all that crap. And I'm not going to call out channels, but there's so much garbage on YouTube. And I felt like if I was going to contribute something, I wanted to contribute something that would be genuine and helpful and actually have some effort put into it. Thank you for watching, and for the first time ever, I'm going to ask you to like and subscribe because it really does make a difference. And I'll see you in my next video.